Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. For those listening and wondering why I sound super sexy, it's because I have a cold. So you have been all forewarned. I'm very delighted and excited to welcome our next guest. I didn't even tell you this before we started, but I have wanted to have you come on for a while. So I am very excited to have you on. So please welcome. Oh my goodness, I didn't even think of an intro for you. You know what? Fuck it. Carrie St. Louis is here. Woo!
That's the intro. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
Normally I have like this person, they've done this and they're in this, and I was like, oh, she's here.
First name only, Carrie,
Yeah,
like Shakira,
Carrie,
Beyonce.
Carrie.
I'm
I
so
almost said
honored
like
to be
Shakira,
here.
Shakira. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Like I said, we're in the Carrie St. Louis den that you're currently in.
We are in the studio, if you will.
Yeah. Yes, we will definitely talk about the Carrie St. Louis studio.
Great, love.
I have a whole list of things, don't worry. For my tens of followers, tens of listeners, they know that I do like a shit ton amount of research. So we're gonna dig deep.
Okay.
I also want to know all
That's
about
always
your.
slightly spooky. You're like, oh no, how far back did you go?
I've
How
actually had some people, they're like, how did you know that?
did you know that? I know, I know. That's fun though.
Yeah, I am we'll get into it, but I'm very curious to know what brought you to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival when you were in high school.
Oh wow. Okay, that's a story. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to start there or do you want to, we're gonna get
Well, I always start with where are you from? So we'll start there.
Okay. I
Okay.
am from Palm Desert, California, where Coachella is
Oh,
how I tell people on the East Coast.
yeah. Well, it's so funny. I went out on Saturday to lunch with my sister at American Bar. I know we super fancy. Um,
Mhm.
and that side of the family is just super bougie. So it happened. And she's like, I'm so surprised that like we were able to get a table on like a Saturday at this time. And I said, I think it's because everybody's at Coachella.
Yeah, potentially.
Like
Yeah, which
I
is
have a
funny because I've only been to Coachella one time, and it was like a friend had an extra artist pass, and I went for one night by myself because I was the only person. I was at home visiting my parents. I was
yeah.
actually judging a musical theater competition on the same weekend as Coachella because I'm cool. So
Cool. It's
yeah,
pretty
I
fun.
really have kind of missed the Coachella train, even though my parents still live out there, and I just got married there actually a few months ago. So
Yes,
yeah, I
and
love the desert.
your wedding was also featured in People magazine.
That was, I mean, I don't, I was surprised and honored that they asked if they could, and my husband and I kind of geeked out a little bit. I was like, everyone's gonna be looking at this, being like, who are these people? But we are the people, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
So
People magazine, they do feature a lot of Broadway star weddings. I know
yeah,
Vogue has done that for some Broadway performers as well. So it's not,
yeah.
yeah,
The editor Dave Quinn reached out and said that he really likes to feature theater people, and he saw that I had gotten married, and he asked if I would be open to it. So yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of a cool little thing. I'm honestly
Cool.
more happy that for our vendors because so many
Yeah.
of them that's such a great thing for them to have, you know, as wedding vendors, and everyone was incredible. So we're very
Yeah.
lucky. Yeah.
Well, if anybody listening wants to see more of Carrie's wedding, pop on her Instagram or just like Google People magazine.
Google People Magazine. It's
Google People
still the
magazine.
front page.
It's actually they're coming out with a wedding edition. And it's
One
just
of
gonna
my
be
parents'
Carrie's
friends the
wedding.
other day was introducing me to a group of people and said, "Oh, and she just got married and her wedding was on the cover of every magazine." And I said, "That's not true. That's absolutely not true."
Like, it was on the cover of the magazine that we made about our wedding,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
We
Yeah.
went on Canva, we made a
Oh,
magazine.
you did?
No, I'm joking.
Oh, oh,
I'm
oh,
pretending to be
oh.
for the hot second. Like,
Yes.
oh yeah, we made a magazine. But so you're from Palm Desert, California. I know that both of your parents really weren't into performing, but what got you interested in that?
Yeah, neither of them sing, and they both kind of think this is like a freak accident that I just came out singing. But I just had a ton of energy when I was a kid. I still do. And I think they tried sports. I wasn't as interested. I wanted to gossip, I wanted to be first base so that I could chat with everybody that ran through, and I played t-ball and did all of that. And so then a local theater company was putting on a production of Oliver, and my brother and I auditioned, and my brother got Oliver first
Oh,
try,
wow.
and I got singing Milkmaid number two.
Nice.
Uh, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. It was, my friend group growing up. Every weekend we'd go to rehearsals, and it was incredible. Full orchestra at the McCallum Theater, which is like actually pretty well known in the desert. And a lot of people, Kelly O'Hara just did a show there. I did a show there, which was
Oh, well,
very
how,
full circle.
which was full circle because you performed there as Annie.
Yes, yes. Wow, research we love.
Thank you.
But it's a great theater community out in the desert, and I feel very lucky that I got to grow up with that and sort of learn the ropes that way. But
Yeah. So
been doing it
you,
ever since.
yeah, so you came to the East Coast for boarding school.
I did, yes.
And so how did, because we're just going to talk about the Edinburgh Film Festival. Oh my God, cold brain. Theater festival. Like what was the theater? Was it the boarding school just for performing arts? Was it a regular boarding school? Like how did that whole thing happen?
To be. So my dad went there. He was a day student, so he lived in called Phillips Academy, Andover. And it's an incredible school. I love it. I'm actually heading back there. They just built a brand new music center, and I'm gonna go perform for the sort of big dinner celebrating it, which is really exciting. But my dad went there and my brother went there. And so it was sort of always in my family. We'd go back for reunions. And it's an academic school. They have a great music program, but I would take the train into Boston every weekend to study opera at Boston University. So I kind of was like doing more on top of what they provided at the school. But it was a very good school. And I loved it so much. And the Fringe Festival is something that they have a high school, I guess, high school program through the Fringe Festival, and Andover is a part of it. And so we did a show called Jungle Book, and it was like a new retelling of the Jungle Book. It was strange.
The end period.
It is strange, but going to the Fringe Festival was such a cool experience. I absolutely loved it, and getting to meet other high schoolers that were doing that. I met this guy named Dan Tracy who was in Waitress. We were talking about Waitress before we jumped
Yeah.
on the call. Who was in Waitress on Broadway, and it was kind of crazy. We met in Scotland,
Hmm.
did not see each other past that. And then the next time I saw him, we were in auditions for Anastasia, and we got paired together in callbacks, and we had to sing in a crowd of thousands together, which is like about I would recognize you in a crowd of thousands even though I haven't seen you in. It was very it was like,
Yeah.
ooh, like art
That
imitating
didn't
life.
get you the show? Who?
And we didn't book it, and we didn't book.
Oh, how dare.
I
I
know, but
feel
it was
better. I never even saw Anastasia when it was on Broadway. It just like came and went.
well,
It
the
was one of
music is
those like I'll see it eventually, and then like a year or
yes.
two later, I didn't.
It wasn't, Kinky Boots was happening. It was not
Yeah,
the right thing for me at the right time, but that situation alone was very funny, and
yeah,
I had the best time in Scotland. I really, really loved it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So I don't want to say funny, but what I love is that you went to USC and you studied opera,
Hmm.
and really like there's maybe with the exception of Glinda, like nowhere in your career where you've actually like done opera.
Yes, I know.
So what made you want to, did you just want to be Kelly O'Hara? Because I want to be Kelly O'Hara.
I
Because
mean, I
I can't
thought I was
believe
going to be Kelly O'Hara. Like I was like, well, I mean, Kelly O'Hara is untouchable, of course, but
yeah,
like that was sort
Kelly
of
O'Hara.
that
So
was what I figured my career
mhm.
would be, because I was a lyrical soprano in the opera program. And honestly, right when I got Rock of Ages
Yeah.
3 months out of college.
Mhm.
And it was one of those like lightning struck me on that day. I don't even know how it happened. Once I got the part, I genuinely did not believe I could do it. I
Mhm.
was like, oh no, oh no, they've now cast me and I can't do this 8 times a week. I don't know how to sing like this. Um, and at the same time, right when I booked Rock of Ages, I also booked, they were doing an out of town tryout of the new musical called Emma, based off of Jane Austen's Emma. It
Mhm.
was by the composer of Jane Eyre. So very different style, like
Yeah.
British, soprano. And so that's what I really thought was gonna be sort of the way I went. And then when Rock of Ages happened, I had to take that opportunity. And yeah, and then once I did Rock of Ages, that led to my Broadway debut. And I was only getting called in for rock parts. And
Yeah.
I wanted to scream. I was like, I don't do this. Like, I'm faking it
Yeah.
till I make it. So I really pushed with my agent saying, I really want to be seen for Wicked. I really want to be seen for Wicked. And then, 3 weeks later, an audition came up and I got Wicked and I got to call my mom and say, I don't have to strip anymore. I get to be a princess.
And
Because,
yeah.
it's Broadway stripping. It's not real
Yeah,
stripping. You
Broadway
only have
stripping.
Rock of
Although
Ages.
I will say, if you did you see the Rock of Ages movie? Because I
Mm.
think she becomes stripper. I don't I've only saw it once. I'm like, I don't need to see this again. But I think in the stage production, she wants to be an actress, but in the movie,
Yeah.
they changed it to her wanting to be a singer.
Yeah, she wants to be an actress
Yeah.
in the stage production. I don't really remember. I mean, I saw the movie one time and then I thought, this is maybe not helpful in general, but the
Yeah.
show was, I mean, honestly, I had the best time. I absolutely love Rock of Ages and it gave me so much. And when I got to Broadway, it felt like a group of misfit toys,
Hmm.
on Broadway. Like we're all Broadway actors, but we're doing
Yeah.
this show that is so silly and so fun. And so, yeah, I mean, it was the best way to make my Broadway debut. But yeah, it is funny. I haven't really played any soprano roles.
And
And
I
then
also
when I
have to
did
say,
Wicked, people would go, "Oh my gosh, and you're soprano," and I'm like, "That's where I love to live." But
yeah. I think
yeah.
it's interesting. They had Alexandra Sosha, who was just Glinda,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I've known who she is since Spring Awakening.
Yeah,
And I've never thought of her as a soprano. So when she went into Wicked, I was like, oh my God, that's incredible.
right.
Because I think
And
there's
she's a
some,
beautiful soprano
yeah,
voice. So
yeah.
beautiful.
I
Yeah.
did not see her. I saw the bootlegs. That yes. I also just I don't want to say like it's funny, but I just find like you can only do an 80s musical if it's like jukebox because you did Rock of Ages and then you did a 90s musical, which was like 90s jukebox music of Cruel Intentions.
Yes. I know. It's
Run the
funny.
gamut.
In my teaching studio too, I'm always saying like we're chameleons, right? Especially in musical
Yeah.
theater. You have to be able to do all the different styles. And it is very funny to go from like an 80s rock show
Mhm.
into Wicked, which is super,
Yeah.
very musical theater, contemporary musical theater,
Yeah.
and then to go into Cyndi Lauper pop with Kinky
Yeah.
Boots, which is a totally different thing.
Mhm.
Um, and then yeah, Cruel Intentions, 90s, and then Titanic, Celine Dion. So
Yeah.
it really just kind of
I did
who
not
knows?
see Titanic, but I saw Titanic like almost a year ago, like
Mhm.
May of last year. And I just remember there was one spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet.
If you
When
haven't seen it yet, what have you been living under a rock?
seriously, you have
Go
until
see
June
it.
14th. But when she came out and they did Beauty and the Beast,
Yes.
literally put my playbill in front of me because I started cackling so hard. I don't want to say it was dumb. It was so fucking brilliant.
But that's the thing. It's so brilliant.
Brilliant
But
show.
like my favorite thing about Titanic is that every person has a different moment that they're like, I couldn't even breathe. I was laughing so hard. I have not heard someone say that Beauty and the Beast was that for them. So
Oh, yeah.
it's so specific to specific people where you're like, oh, they're not gonna go there. They're not gonna go there. And then we go there every
It
time.
it
So
was, and then they do like oh my God, what is it? RuPaul Drag Race, like
yeah.
dance off. Oh,
RuPaul came when I was in the show. And so I can officially say, like in my two truths and a lie, I can say that I have lip synced for my life in front of RuPaul. That is something I have done in my
incredible.
lifetime.
Well, I will also say this sounds like really creepy, but I just remembered my friends and we got tickets for the Celine Dion documentary, not
Mhm.
realizing it was the premiere.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I
And
was
my friends,
there. You
I
go there.
know, and I said to my
Yeah.
friend, I'm like, oh my God, it's cats of Titanic. Oh yeah, it's Sarah St. Louis. So like I saw you there.
Oh my gosh, you should have said
Yeah.
hi.
I
That was a wild night because it was so exciting. I mean, we were all so excited. And
well,
then
my
that
friend came
documentary
out
is so heartbreaking that then it ended and everyone was like, I have to go home.
and
And
she was there.
I know, I know.
And truthfully, like my friend, I was like, said to my friend, like, oh, I got a ticket for like this screening. We literally thought it was just a screening of a movie. We had no idea it was the premiere. I'm in like my work dress and sneakers, and my friend's in jeans. And we're like, we're underdressed.
You're like, what? We were not expecting this. Oh,
Yeah.
that's such a New York moment, though. You go to a screening and Celine Dion's there, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. Like we went to a gala last year. We're like, oh yeah, because I interviewed people for something and I got free tickets to the event. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And we got there, we're like, we're underdressed.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we went this year, we made sure to like
That's always good. Yeah.
we're
My
well.
husband always makes fun of me because I'm like, I'm always overdressed. And he'll be like, honey, we're just going to a dive bar. And I'm like, we're going to a dive bar full of gay men.
Yeah.
It matters. I
Yeah.
need to dress up. I need to be appropriate.
Well, I was dating a guy last year and he was saying how much he wanted to see Titanic and I saw it without him. We're not getting into it, but his loss.
Not dating him anymore. Bye.
Girl, don't even get me started. But I saw him like a few days after and he goes, "How was it?" And I said, "I don't think you would like it. You're not a woman or a gay man."
Yeah. Although I do think it is for everyone. The way
Yeah,
that
I
there's so
don't think he
many
would
pop
like it
culture
though.
references in it that I think there's something in it for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, I mean, I started dating my now husband. Every time I say husband, I'm like, whoo.
People
And
magazine featured
oh
husband.
yeah, my People magazine husband.
Yes.
But when we first started dating, I wasn't on a show.
Mhm.
And I remember telling him, I kept saying, you need to date me when I'm in a show because it is a very different, I have a very different lifestyle. And it's just, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
the hours are so hard, especially because he's a muggle and is not of the wizarding world of performing. And
Yeah.
our schedules are very off. But Titanic was the first show that I did while we were dating, and so he got a crash course, and that is, it's like a clown show.
Yeah.
He'll say to me, he'll like sometimes before an audition, he'll go because he's funnier than I am. I'm only admitting that here. Um, he'll be like, "Oh, do you want some pump up music for your audition?" And then he'll turn on, and I'm like, "Thank you, honey, appreciate it." But
You
it is
like
a clown
pretend
show.
to be like riding around on a tricycle and then like
Yeah.
popping out of a clown car.
Yeah.
I
And I'm
mean,
like, you know what? It'll never be boring, honey. It will never be boring.
never be boring. So, because you've talked a lot in the past about like your career. So what I'm curious about, especially because you have a vocal studio and you
Hmm.
studied opera, and you went from studying opera to doing like a few small shows right after you graduated to like 3 months later getting into an 80s rock musical and then
Hmm.
doing like contemporary musical theater with some soprano, and then you
Yep.
go into like Cyndi Lauper, and then you go into like 90s music. So, as someone who now teaches
Hmm.
and someone who has studied opera, how do you find it, maybe even more so for yourself, being able to sustain, especially from what you've learned, singing all these different types of things, especially when you were trained in a specific way?
Yeah. Well, it's everything. I mean, the stamina, I always tell my students that musical theater is a stamina game,
Hmm.
right? Opera, you do maybe three a week. They're spaced out, and that is an acoustic game. There's no microphones, and it's all sung, right? So it's much more of like a huge lift every once in a while. Whereas musical theater is the same lift. It's a and depending on the role, a pretty substantial lift eight
Hmm.
times a week. So it's a stamina game. You don't wake up every morning feeling like, oh, I can't wait to do a Broadway show. Like we go through allergies, we get colds, we go through personal things that happen in your life, and like even if you cry, your voice starts to feel weird. So there's just so many outside factors that contribute. So I'm a big technique nerd, and I was very lucky to have incredible teachers that got me there every step of the way. And so a lot of what I teach is just sort of what I know, right? And all the things that I use as a vocal user is what I teach to my students. And I won't ever teach them anything that I haven't 100% trial and errored it and used it in my own practice. And I think a lot of it too is, speaking to someone who's also practicing it at the same time. And people sometimes say like those who can't do teach, which I actually hate. I think that is a terrible reference because I love teaching. I find it more rewarding when things happen for breakthroughs happen for my students than when they even happen to myself. But also like I'm putting myself in the arena constantly. I'm doing, I'm facing those fears going into auditions and, maneuvering a sickness and what am I doing in all of these situations. And so I can really like impart that knowledge on my students as well. And I'm very involved in their lives. I think you could probably tell even just from talking to me, I get very involved in people's lives. I'm a very open book. So it really is all about stamina and placement and maneuvering and learning about your voice. So it's not just crossing your fingers and guessing the second you're in the audition, it's mapping it out so that when you get to the audition, you can actually enjoy yourself. I can't even believe, like, God forbid we enjoy ourselves in an audition,
Yeah.
or you're just not at least like panicking about the big note because it's never about the big note.
Yeah.
And you can always tell the second someone's thinking about the big note instead of just being present and owning it. It also adds to your confidence. And
Yeah.
I just did 100 million things at once for a long run.
Right.
But yeah, I really love teaching. And I love the wins. And also, it's all of it. It's a roller coaster. And this industry is an industry of rejection. So being able to sort of commiserate with my students too and say, this has happened to me and this time, this time, this time, this time, and you bounce back and you figure it out and things that weren't meant for you. And you just get to keep learning and growing, which is the coolest part.
Yeah.
All
There's
growing.
a few things I want to add.
Yeah.
First, I was watching something on YouTube eons ago where, oh my God, Neil Patrick Harris was saying like auditioning or in this industry is kind of like surfing. Like
Hmm.
sometimes you catch the wave and then sometimes you
Yes.
don't. So for those listening, exactly what Carrie was saying. And
Yes.
secondly, I'm bringing it to Legally Blonde because my
Hmm.
senior year of college, totally just aged myself. My old roommate and I were obsessed with the search for the next Elle Woods.
Oh, same.
Yeah. And so
I've worked with so many of those people and it like cracks me up because I'm like, oh my
yeah.
God, I literally like you are the biggest celebrity to me.
Yeah. Well, that's how I discovered Lauren Zachariah, and I got to work with her a few
Mhm.
times during the pandemic, and you worked with her too in Girl Intention.
Yes, yes, my
She's
girl.
like, I personally think like she's not human how talented she is and like all
Oh,
of the different types of roles she can play.
yeah. She's
Yeah.
a kook.
Yeah.
And she's stunningly gorgeous, like actually so beautiful that you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree with all of that. What was I saying? But what I loved about it, they said like use every audition because like you're a senior, you're in college, you're prepping for your life, and they're like use every audition as a performance. So that's also like something
Yeah.
kind of circling back to what you
And
said.
it's all a learning opportunity. Like I
Yeah.
know that this is I'm going to sound like a broken record because everyone says this, but it's just the truth, which is you could go in for something and be so invested and do such a good job, and it's for reasons like you're a little taller than the other love interest and that looks they don't like the way that looks. Like it could
Yeah.
be something down to your height, which is something you cannot change, right? And so, but you never know that that casting director, and this has happened to me now, the longer I've been in the industry, that like that casting director remember it goes, oh, she was so good, I
Yeah.
loved her,
That's how you
and
got
she was
Titanic.
right for this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or wait, no, that's how you got Dolly Parton because they saw you in Titanic.
Yes, they did see
Yeah.
me in Titanic. And you never know, that was on like a Wednesday night, so it's really you just don't know who's seeing you and what impression you're making on them. And sometimes you don't get the part that you auditioned for, but you get a better one and one that's like even more right for you. So yeah.
You get
Yeah.
to work with Dolly Parton.
Yeah, sometimes you get to work with Dolly Parton.
Have you seen that viral video of like that 8-year-old kid like losing his mind, but like Dolly Parton
Yes. Oh my God, yes. And
just
that's
with
everybody.
him laughing?
That's
Yeah.
everybody. The second she walks in a room, you're just like,
No, Horton. Yeah.
yeah, she's so special. She's so special. There's just this aura around her. And I mean, I think people feel it without even meeting her. I remember when I saw her in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, she came on screen and I started crying because she is just so luminous. Like it's just this energy and this presence that is incredible. And she's such
Yeah.
a good person. Yeah.
I feel that way about Julie Andrews. And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
eons ago when I would see Kelly O'Hara on the street, I have been known to cry, but not of late. I've aged out of that, but like it's happened before, like at least two separate times. I'm sitting at Lincoln Center with my friend, and Kelly O'Hara walks by, and I start crying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
still
Meet
got
Your
made fun of.
Heroes. She's also one of those that is just so incredibly kind and down to earth. And like, she's one of those Meet Your Heroes type people that you're like, wow, wow, you're even better in
Yeah.
person. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I met Andrew Scott, and that right over there,
Uh-huh.
hiking above me, or where there, right there, whoop, whatever you see it. It's a signed Vanya playbill, so he now lives above. A
Fun.
very big reaction to after meeting him, so I understand.
Yeah, yeah. I weirdly have like, I don't get like that around musical theater people as much. But I do around like reality stars, which is
That's
so
fair.
weird.
That's
I
fair.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird. Like I just am like, oh my
Who,
God, since on
who,
Vanderpump Rules, and then I can't speak.
listen, I will say, like, in the zeitgeist of the world, that
Yeah.
is very common and very normal.
Okay. Maybe it's because we feel like we know them, and like I
Mhm.
don't. Maybe that's that. I don't know.
If it makes you feel okay, ready for this wild one?
Yeah.
My stepmom, like in college or right after college, was roommates with Ramona Singer. Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Hmm.
The lore. I'm sure there's so much lore
Oh
there.
yeah. And when Bethany Frankel had her TV show and she was with Jason, there was
Yeah.
a couple on there. I'm like, I know those people.
Oh, weird. The
And
degrees of
Bra
separation.
yeah, and then Bravo did this reality show called Secret and Wives. I don't know if you remember this. It has to be over like 10 years ago. My stepmom was on an episode. You see her talking to one of the women, and my sister is next to her with her face blurred out. And some of the women who were on that TV show was at my sister's wedding.
Wow.
It took place on Long Island. And I'm like, I know these people.
Like
Not
I
face.
know these
I
people.
know
Yeah.
these people. That one, that one was at my sister's wedding.
Wow. Wow. Well, college, I mean, those are like your real,
Yeah.
to this day, those are my college friends are my
Yeah.
friends. They know me.
Oh yeah. One of my best friends, like ride or die from college.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
It's the
sure.
best kind of relationship, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we were jumping all over the place. So let's talk about, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity yet to talk about your dream starring role in Elle Woods or Elle
Oh,
Woods. You
yes.
starred in Elle Woods. You played Legally Blonde.
Garden Elwoods.
You starred in
Yes.
Elle Woods, Legally Blonde. I just like to blame that I have a cold. That's why my brain is so fluffed.
Honestly, I almost said it's almost Friday. It's Tuesday. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
I feel like we speak the
Um,
same language. I
yeah,
appreciate
we do. We
it. Thank you.
do.
You.
Yes, Elle Woods.
Yeah. Because that
He,
was another thing too when you were saying big notes. And in my head, I was like, oh, you mean so much better,
yeah,
Legally Blonde?
Elle Woods is Pink Elphaba. That's what I call her because that role is so hard. It truly is so hard. I've done some hard roles, but I was like, this is on a whole other level. But yeah, I mean, I was obsessed with the show,
Mhm.
obviously obsessed with the movie. I went to USC. She goes to UCLA. I'm from Southern California.
Yeah.
My whole life, not my whole life, but like my later life, I
Yeah.
would get stopped. Like I'd be washing my hands in a restroom and the woman next to me would gasp and go, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought you were Reese Witherspoon." Like I got that a lot. There was a period of time where I think I really looked like her. Uh,
Did it happen during Cruel Intentions and it gave you the point where you can just
well,
promote
Cruel
full
Intentions,
embodiment?
like, yeah, well, Cruel Intentions, that was kind of like a shoe in too, because that's a
Yeah.
role that she played. I was a guest star on Younger,
Hmm.
and the breakdown for that role literally said, a la Reese Witherspoon in Election. And then I got it. So it was like, it was just kind of, I've just always kind of circled that, but
Yeah.
that feels like very much my like bread
Yeah.
and butter. That's I just play myself sort of. Like I feel very adjacent to her. Um which also is like I'm literally flattering myself beyond belief right now because
Power away.
I
You'll
think she's unbelievable. So
yeah.
but yeah, Legally Blonde, it just I was in high school when it was happening on Broadway, so it was obviously was not going to happen. And then there's just I just had never auditioned for it, to be honest. And then we did that 54 Below concert, which was so fun. And I remember when the Nikki Snelson, the original Brooke,
Yeah.
was directing this production. We did it at Starlight. And I remember when my agent sent it through, he was like, "Is this our Legally Blonde?" That was the thing it said. Um, and yeah, I got the part. I went through all the audition rounds, which was very funny because right at the start, Nikki was like, "I've seen all your videos." And I said, "Oh, so you've seen me do this entire role, and yet I still audition, dance calls, I did all the things." And it was kind of like being shot out of a cannon because we rehearsed for 2 weeks, I
Oh,
want to
wow.
say. And it was for an 8,000 seat theater. And the cast was like 50 people, and we had a marching band, and we had the dogs, and we had, I mean, it was like a fever dream. It happened so fast. And Nikki, of course, is an incredible dancer choreographer. So she was like, "You're doing all of the dance, all of it." I was like, "Okay, Nikki." But I really did have to, going back to voice teacher land, I had to go back into a practice room for weeks before I left for the contract to reteach myself how to sing all of it because I realized in high school I was just screaming, I was
Yeah.
just screaming and doing my best and trying to hit all the notes. But that's not sustainable, and my voice has obviously grown and changed quite a bit. So I went in and gave myself voice lessons and worked through every single song so that I could do it sustainably in the moment. But ooh, she's hard.
Yeah.
And it was also the middle of summer,
Mm.
outdoor theater. So it was July. It was like 95 degrees and humid. They had these huge jumbotrons that had cameras on us. So you're not supposed to see theater people that close. I just don't think that anybody wants to see that, nor do I want you to see that. But it was zoomed in on me just dripping sweat. And like every time I'm off stage, I'm just changing my clothes to come back on and sing some more. So
Yeah.
it was a fever dream of a summer, but I mean, it was so fun. I loved it so much.
Well, and I'm sure if anybody is out there listening and wants to cast you as Elwood's again, right? And
Whew.
it's like,
So
when
I'd
is
have to
that?
like
I'm good.
really gear myself up. People were like, like if it comes back to Broadway, it needs to be Carrie. And I was like, I'll be
Oh
the
my
stand up.
God.
I'll do one show a week. I'll do alternate
The
Legally
amount
Blonde.
of like dream casting I've seen on the Instagram for
Mhm.
you to do Legally Blonde, especially when it was like rumored to come back.
I honestly, I'm maybe too old now. And also, I think I would love to be the alternate. Truly, if I could do that show one time a week, I love that show. It's so fun. It's so
Yeah,
good. And I do think we need a revival of it. I do think they were going to do it at Kennedy Center, and then
stuff
everything
happened.
went down. Yeah, so I think it'll come back, and I hope it comes back. Or I'd love to do it again, but
Yeah, as the alternate.
yeah, it's the
Think of how they're doing like Manny Gonzalez is the current alternate in what is it?
yeah,
Sunset Boulevard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Well, it's so interesting too that you said like your voice has matured, and I agree with that because I watched a beautifully sung version of Back to Before by you.
Oh,
Love
thank you
Allow.
for
Love
saying
that.
that.
Yeah, it's like it was so because I fucking love ragtime.
Same.
And anybody who has listened to the podcast knows that for years I have been manifesting that show to come back
Hmm.
with a specific director, which I did not get. Rumored to be going to the theater that I wanted to be at. I've said I wanted at the Beaumont with Bartlett Share, with
Oh,
Brandon Uranowitz and Joshua
yeah.
Henry. So I got a few of my wants.
Yeah. That you did pretty well. Though you were
Yeah.
saying that before all of the like encores and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a manifesting beast. We love
No,
to hear.
this podcast manifests things for people. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of frightening. Like I was talking to somebody once and they're like, my dream role is to do Shakespeare in the Park. It's like, why not do it? And they go, I don't know. I think it's too late for auditions. I shit you not. Like a year later, like a few days either after or before I recorded that podcast episode with them, they announced that they were in Shakespeare in the Park.
Love
So
it.
and so we can manifest you as an alternate,
Yes.
legally blonde.
Okay, I've got a couple more for you throughout this.
No, we're gonna manifest waitress.
Yes, we are. We are gonna.
Because we talked waitress. We're gonna manifest like we'll talk, we'll manifest your dream stuff. So I would love to talk to you about the last 5 years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because who doesn't love the last 5 years? I was gonna see it. I do merch on the side. I was
Hmm.
gonna work it on Friday, but I was so sick that I was like, I can't
Yeah,
work.
I can't come in. I don't want, I don't want to get anybody else sick too, but
Well, that I didn't care about. I would have worn a mask because I'm not a
right,
monster,
right,
but
right.
I was just like, I need to be horizontal in my bed.
That's
But
fair.
I didn't get to watch it yet. But last 5 years, how did it come to you? Were you like always
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I've just always loved that music and kind of in the same vein of like Legally Blonde, I actually believe that I Can Do Better Than That is maybe my favorite song to sing, period. I love that song and I love my voice is the best in Jason. And he was my teacher in
yeah,
college,
I saw
which
that.
is wild. Yeah, and actually like mentored me on. I did See I'm Smiling for in Los Angeles when I was graduating. That's how I got my agent. And he coached me on it, which is kind of wild. He'd be like, "What do you think she thinks here?" And he'd go, "Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what I think she thinks." I'm like, "Okay, great. I do trust you." But yeah, and so I've always wanted to do it, but I just wasn't old enough. And then this opportunity presented itself. Fulton Theater, which is a great theater in Lancaster, such a cute town, obsessed. They were doing it, and my agent reached out and was like, "Are you interested?" And so I went out there to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we did it for I think it was about like a month and a half. And I loved it. I loved singing the music. I will say the show, it was interesting because I've been kind of going around saying dream roll, here,
Yeah.
here, here. And I realized that I'm very much like I love to have a pre-show dance party. I love to like be with the cast and like that is so much about what I love about theater and also acting opposite people. And I guess I'd never done the show before, so I didn't really know, but I'm on stage by myself the whole time. And there's really no interaction with your scene partner except for next 10 minutes, spoiler everybody. Um, and also starting the show with divorce, it just it was hard. I realized it was hard. I was sort of like, oh, this isn't as like dream rolly as I sort of thought. But I do love all the music. So yeah, those are
Sorry,
my
I muted myself because there's sirens. I'm like, she's probably not going to hear them anyway. I have my window
oh
open.
no.
Whatever. 8th Avenue. So I know you can't really like give much details, but I was like, Dolly Parton. So
Yeah.
let's talk about Dolly Parton the musical. You were a part of the first table read. No spoilers allowed.
Yes, no spoilers allowed, but I did get to be a part of the first table read.
And you played young Dolly,
Yeah.
which you wrote on your Instagram. So I'm not
Yes, yes, this is all
giving
out
anything.
there.
I'm not, so I guess because you can't really give much away or much about the story, like in my head, I can guess what it is, but I'm curious to know what is it like to work on, I mean, yeah, it's an original pice. And I
Yeah.
don't think you've worked on an original piece like this before.
No,
And so
no.
what was it like for you, or is it like for you, working
Mhm.
on an original piece based on someone, like being there from the very beginning and kind of,
Yeah.
I don't want to say you're seeing it through because again, you may or may not know, or you may not be able to tell us,
Yes.
but at least in the two Instagram posts that we know of you doing
Yes.
it, what has that process been like for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, I've learned so much about, yeah, like you said, building a musical from the start, from the ground up. And being a part of that first reading was just, I mean, total magic. I mean, I left, she was in a Ripley Greer in New York with like two security cowboys out front, and I just left, I floated out of that room being like, what is my life? I can't believe I got to do this. And it was for her to decide if she wanted to do a musical just to start. So that first reading was just literally 15 actors in a room reading through this script that she had been working on with Maria Schlatter, who's her co-writer. And uh, yeah, I mean, portraying someone who is sitting in front of you is terrifying, but also really cool. And also being able to have a relationship with that person and sort of get to know them. And, oftentimes whenever there's a musical done about someone, like Beautiful or the Cher Show, whoever it's about, if they're still alive, comes at the end and sort of sees. But Dolly is very involved in every aspect of this musical, which is such an incredible gift. I mean, and she's could not be cooler or she's just better than you could ever imagine. And we all imagine her as, I think she might be the most loved person in the world, and she
Yeah.
deserves that title because she is that great.
Oh,
So yeah, being able to work with her is just, I mean, every actor's dream is to be able to do something like that,
yeah.
and finding myself in her too, because I think the other challenge with that is you don't want to impersonate someone because that will not feel truthful, and that's not the best way to represent someone's story. So it's really finding what makes us similar and finding different, I don't know, like finding that fine line of keeping it truthful, but also feeling like it's so that the audience will feel like it's her, you know? Yeah, it's been a very big learning lesson and
Yeah.
very cool to see it sort of grow and change and become a show.
Yeah.
And I think the show is fantastic. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So getting back to the whole singing thing, because I'm assuming, again, not asking, not my business.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's her music or her type of music.
Hmm.
How is it like for you to sing that? Because again, it's very different than what you normally
Yeah.
do.
Well, she has announced that it's her music, and then she's written some songs for the show. And yeah, I mean, this is where being a vocal coach has really come into play and been super, super helpful, is that, is finding different timbres and tones in her voice and then placing it in my voice and finding where it sits and where it fits. And how it can feel like her, but also feel like me and be my voice. And it's hard. I mean, what I will say is we all know Dolly is like the greatest songwriter of all time, right? She's just absolutely, she writes a song a day. She wakes up and just writes a song. She is a total channel. But the thing that I don't know if people are 100% like, no, it's just her instrument is so beautiful. It's so specific and special and beautiful. And the way it's so effortless. And she'll just sing sometimes if we're in a rehearsal and, she'll just say, I want it to sound like this. And then she just sort of starts singing and you're like, yeah, I want it to sound like that
You're just
too.
like, Dolly Parton, just sing in front of me.
Yeah, exactly, right. So yeah, it's been a lot of listening and a lot of figuring out vowel placements and things like that. But it's been really fun. It's fun to sort of fit my voice into hers. And just I love country. I mean, I'm like, I don't know what people believe. I feel like in a past life I must have been somehow in the country world, because I've always, everywhere I go, if I'm at like a Starbucks or something, people go, "Oh, where in the South are you from?" And I'm like, is it just because I'm blonde and super friendly? I don't know, but people do not think that I'm from New York specifically, but also I get South a lot. And I'm like, no, I'm from the Smoky Mountains of Palm Springs, California. Uh, but yeah, I think I really love singing country music, and it fits well into my voice. So it's been really fun to,
Am I
and
smelling a new 54 Below solo show with
just
all
all
country music?
country.
Yeah.
You
Carrie
know,
sings country, y'all.
not no. I do love some country. And I feel like, yeah, it's just great storytelling. And also her music. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Whenever you're working on a new show, there's always is the music good? Is the book good? Is the book, it's like, I mean, that's a given. Her music is just incredible. And she has so many, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like, is it repertoire or her
Yeah.
catalog? Her
Catalog.
catalog is so gigantic, right? So it's picking, I mean, any song she puts into the show is going to be amazing. So it's interesting seeing the ones that she's chosen and the story she's telling, and I think people are really going to really like it.
Great. So I want to talk to you a little bit quickly. The Carrie St. Louis studio. If
Yeah.
people want to work with you, how can they get in touch with you? Where is it in person? Is it over Zoom? Is it both? Is it either or? Tell
Yes.
us all about it and what you want people to get out of it.
Yeah. So yes, people can study with me. I do both online and I do in persons in New York. They can go onto my website, which is www.carriestlouis.com. So difficult to find. And there is a like new students button there, and you can just fill out the form and just sort of say what you're looking for, and then I'll respond and it's me responding, and we will figure out timing and scheduling, and I'll give you the whole rundown. But yeah, I have students of all different levels, ages. I obviously have a lot of students who are pursuing this as a career, but I also have a lot of students that are lawyers or, doctors or whatever. And they just always loved theater growing up. And if you don't go into it professionally, I always say it's kind of like sports or
Oh,
team sports. If you don't go into it professionally, where do you go to do it anymore? Like karaoke, sure, but if you're good at karaoke, people don't really like it. So it's sort of this weird thing. And so I find that I have a lot of students that just want to get better at singing and love it and have always had a passion for it. And yeah, it's just come on in. I love teaching and I love meeting anybody where they're at. It's a no judgment zone. I just want everyone singing happily and healthily because it's my favorite thing in the entire world. So I want everybody to enjoy it, but yeah.
do you have any top going theater experiences in your lifetime?
Ooh, in my lifetime, well,
Or it could be recently or
The
whenever.
Color Purple with Cynthia Erivo,
Mhm.
I saw, I think 5 times. Like I was so obsessed, I could not stop going. And then when Heather Headley joined, unbelievable. So that's one.
Mhm.
Just in Madison County, Stephen Pasquale and Kelly O'Hara. I'll
Yep.
never be over it. I'll never be over it. I listen to that soundtrack all the time. Jason Robert Brown, like it's everything I love, everything I love,
I
and
actually listened to Wondering the other day. I was like, I
it,
need to find this song. It's in my brain. And I
it's
listened to it and
everything.
I felt so
It's
much better.
everything. So
Yeah.
that's number two. These are just like off the top of my head too. Oh my goodness. This season, I love Maybe Happy Ending. I just think it's
I'm actually
absolutely
seeing that tomorrow night. I looked
yay.
great for it. I was like, I need to treat myself, and here we are.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. But I'd say, yeah, maybe the top ones are those. And then Linda Eder is my absolute favorite voice.
Definitely
And
in.
I saw her when I was a kid at the McCallum.
Mhm.
And I remember just being like so enthralled. And then years later, we both had our 54 Below shows on the same night. And so I like to say that Linda Eder opened for me. But I just anytime she's performing anywhere, I'm like, I think that voice is spectacular. So maybe Linda Eder.
Yeah, Linda Eder, period.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I also saw, not musical theater related, but I saw Bonnie Bear in concert once, and it also changed my life because he also feels like a direct channel sort of singer. So those are
Same.
the ones I could think of. And now we're gonna get off this call and I'm gonna think of 10 more. But
It's okay. You know what? When this episode comes out, you can just like post and be like, this is Elf. This is what else I think.
yeah, here's
Just
my
like send me a DM and
added,
be like,
added.
Carrie also wants you guys to know this.
Yeah. Added.
So aside from Mama Rose in
Yes.
many years from now, any other dream roles or projects that you would like to do that we can manifest in this moment for you,
Yeah.
aside from the alternate and Legally Blonde?
Well, alternative legally blonde. I mean, I would love to originate a role. That is something that I have been working towards, and would really love to do. And that hasn't happened yet. So
Well, not to say
there.
things, but we were just talking about something and there we go.
She'll throw things out there. We'll see. We will see.
Yeah.
This business, you never know.
Again, it's the
Um,
surfing.
You
Sometimes
just
catch
keep,
the
you
wave.
just keep putting in the work and you stay kind and you
Yeah.
that's all that you can control.
Yes,
So
that's also a very big thing I like is just be nice to people,
be
especially
nice
if
to
you're in the
people.
theater, because people fucking talk.
Costs absolutely nothing to be nice to people. Just be nice to people and do good work. That's, I mean, I have this. This is my mug that I keep right here.
Do good
Just
work. Nice. I drink out of my hot priest mug.
cheers.
And it says Neil on the back. So cheers. That's why
Yeah.
Andrew Scott has like always been a presence of this podcast. So
Love, love.
hence why he's like now above.
Gotta get you a prayer candle.
I actually do have one of him as the hot priest that I used to light every time I did an episode, but then it's ran out and I can't light it anymore. So, but it's on my bookshelf. But I didn't real when I put that playbill up, I
Mhm.
didn't realize that it would be sitting behind me every time I record.
Oh
So
no,
it's like
that's fine.
weirdly worked out,
Worked out.
creepily. I don't think we have time for the actor studio questions, but unless you want to do it really quickly, we don't have to.
Rapid fire.
Okay, here we go. You ready? What's
Yes.
your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yeah,
My favorite
you said
word?
rapid fire.
Okay. Love.
That's mine too, don't worry. What is your least favorite word?
World to sing. They
Interesting.
put world in every single song and it is world. It's awful. I hate that word.
You sounded like Carol Burnett just then. Um, what turns you on?
What turns me on?
Yeah.
Um, People who are alive.
What turns you off?
People who are rude.
I thought you were going to be people who are dead.
People who are dead. Corpses.
Oh. What is your favorite curse word?
Ooh. Um, ooh. Probably fuck.
What sound or noise do you love?
Which what noise?
Sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise? A little baby laughing.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Um, people yelling in New York really stresses me out.
What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
I think I would be like a vocal therapist, like work in rehabilitating voices, which is kind of still adjacent. Or I would love to be like an esthetician dermatologist. I have a skin obsession.
Great. What profession would you not like to do?
I would not like to be a water park bathroom attendant.
Very specific, but I very get that.
Or a human statue. The human statues really freak me out
Oh
in
yeah.
the subway.
Okay, and finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
um, hey girl. I don't know.
That's the best answer I think I've ever heard. Hey girl.
Hey girl.
Hey. Oh my God, this was so fun. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for listening.
Oh
For
my God. Thanks for having
Of
me.
course, you can stay on once we're done recording. And anything you want to put out there, like thoughts, feelings, concerns, questions, problems, life's.
Uh, be kind. Keep shining. Keep smiling.
No, you can see. I told you it gets
I
crazy. You can
know.
bring
I
out the
know.
keyboard. I told you you can do it.
I know. Listen, just like
Keep
that's what
smiling.
friends are for.
Oh,
I get the zoomies. No, yeah, just as much joy as you can bring into the world. Try and do that today
yeah.
because we need so much of it right now.
Listen, that's why I'm fucking true to myself to happy. I keep wanting to say happy, sad, confused, but maybe happy ending.
Maybe happy ending.
Maybe happy ending tomorrow. Anyway, thank you so much and thank you all for listening.
Listening.